All right, welcome. We are live. Let's see. I'm kind of prepared tonight. Kind of caught me by surprise. I was having something to eat. Let me turn this light off here to make it better for us. All right. Well, things are going to be a little different tonight. We have a chat overlay instead of just our regular chat coming up on the screen. So I don't know if you guys can see it. Justin's with us, the Z Monster. Can you see that, Justin? It's a little different. And Lenny's with us, right on. All right, it comes up real small. Ben Carson's with us. All right, cool. Andy Zumwald's with us. Andy sent me a long message today. Really good stuff. De Klerk's with us. Wow, we're really packing them in tonight. Yeah, it's different. For some reason, it said it couldn't come up, and Jill's not home, so I'm on my own. My technical advisor. I am on my own. We just had a cloud burst not too long ago, and nice, kind of cooled everything off. Kind of a different day here at Baker's Green Acre. June 28th, 2022. And we're coming up on 4th of July weekend, and we had a lot of people call us with requests for chicken processing. So Jill scheduled a secondary day. So we had people wheeling in here with chickens today. Lots of them. Lots of them. All right, Inga's with us. So we're going to be processing tomorrow. So that cuts out of my action. I'm in a nice place though, as far as the farm goes, because we have enough hay cut and in that I feel like, okay, if something went wrong right now and I couldn't cut anymore, I'm good, right? But I do have a lot more to cut. You know, probably on this place, probably another 40 to cut off, and I'll get it. I'll get it, but I'm not under the gun to do it, you know. And what we have coming up is, well, 4th of July weekend, which is going to be Monday. All right, Aiden's with us. Sean's with us. Right on. And around here, it goes kind of like this. They have a parade on the 4th of July up in town. Since our kids have been a little older, we haven't gone. And I think because of the Wu flu, they wouldn't let them throw candy anymore. So that's definitely not going to go. And a lot of people just didn't go, and social distance and all that stuff. So, and then they didn't have fireworks, and so that was definitely a no go because of COVID. You know, you can't have fireworks because of COVID. But last year, instead of going where we usually go for fireworks, we went over to Falmouth, which is a small town, and they have a really nice fireworks display. So we're going to go over there this time as well. And we park a little far away, and then we walk into town as a group, and we just walk, and it's kind of fun. And then there's a lawn you can sit on, and you're really close to where they launch them off. Falmouth is a really nice little town. That's where Ebles is. So we're probably going to do that. All right, Faye's with us. Right on. G'day, mate. I got to talk to Aiden in his native language, and I know all about Australia because I saw Crocodile Dundee many times, so I know all about it, mate. I wonder if there really is a place called Walkabout Creek. All right, so my subject today is kind of interesting, and it has a lot to do with what went on here today. And I think that it's kind of a canary in the coal mine type thing. Now, I had an appointment today for a guy to come and get some pigs, and we talked with him a little on the phone, lame buck, and he wanted to know if we had breeding stock, and I said, yeah, I did, and he had a little bit of inquiring, and it showed up here at 10 o'clock this morning. Got three gilts, breedable gilts, and a boar, and is got a plan to put his farmstead in production. And from what I heard, they've been working on it for a while. Excuse me. And he's not holding anything back. He's not waiting around. There's a sense of urgency. That's what I noticed. Just with the things that he was telling me and where he's dedicated money and things like that. It's not like they're planning on a trip to Disneyland. And in the course of our conversation, it boiled down to one thing, I believe, anyway. And then I had another person that came at 1 o'clock. This guy came at 10. He was gone for 15 minutes, and then the next appointment showed up. And I'll tell you about that one in a second. But it came down to one thing. Either you want to live in reality or you don't, right? And he said to me when he started to understand the truth about our existence as Americans, and this guy was not a GI. He was he actually by trade, he was a hoof trimmer, right? So he worked in and out of farms, industrial agriculture. He's definitely a very specialized thing, trims hoofs all day. And this is, those guys, you see them, they pull around a rig that you can walk a beef into or a dairy cow. It closes in on the sides, it squeezes them, and then it tips them. And then they can immobilize the hoof and they can work on the hoof without the cow kicking them. And, they'll do a bunch of them in the course of a day. And that's what he does. So makes good living, apparently. And then we were talking about different moves. And there was one thing that I did notice from this particular guy was he knew a lot of the moves of the bad guys and what they're trying to do. And it seems like the bad guys always put out what they're wanting to do. They put it right out there so you can see it. And I believe that's in an effort to make you believe as though they're going to accomplish it. But they haven't accomplished it yet. And that's what I kept saying to him. I said, this is what they want to do. Doesn't mean they've gotten it done. And the fact that, we're standing here talking about it and you are dedicating dollars in that direction instead of the other direction. And what is the other direction? Basically, the other direction is you go to Disneyland. That's reality. You have fun and you let everybody else take care of you and you just do your job and then feed them dollars. And it's gotten to the point where people have gotten really heavy on dollars. The entertainment and the bread and circuses, I guess they call it, has gotten really inexpensive. So you can do it a lot. The food has gotten inexpensive. We think that food is going up. It's just that our food in the United States has been so inexpensive that we have this feeling that, now it's getting way more expensive when we're actually paying the reality of what it costs to produce things like this. Hey, we got it raining again. It's coming down again pretty good. I'm going to take a precaution here and go alert my staff to look in on the turkeys who are in the brooder right now. Just stand by 1 second. I just want to send those guys down. Hey, you guys, can somebody run down and look after the turkeys? They're in the brooder. And just see that they're all in because it's starting to rain again. So it was more than just somebody showing up wanting to buy pigs. He was really wanting to, you know, kind of figure out a way to go, and I was willing to show him how we're set up and things like that. And the conversation went on for quite a while. It was almost 2 hours, and I don't mind doing that because every time somebody else comes to understand what's going on and makes preparations for it, and then they pass it on, we're reversing what has happened to us, that we've pretty much been, as a population, been put on the reservation and just fed, and now they're it appears that they're making moves to withdraw the food and say, okay, you guys are going to have to move down here. This here is where the food is at. And I have heard stories about that happening. It wouldn't be the first time, moving all the population into central locations where they can be put to work and kind of controlled and things like that. I'm not interested in that, and I'm not going to do it. But that was that first conversation. The second one was somebody that had made an appointment to see me at 1:00. And Jill said, "Are you available?" And I just said, "Yeah." And she handled the email and told me before she left this morning, "Hey, you got an appointment at 1:00." Told me the guy's name. Happens to be a retired GI, and usually I will take those, And I didn't know too much of why they wanted to see me, but it was a guy and his wife, and he was a guy that had done sort of what I tell you that I had the opportunity to do, but I never did, was when you retire from the military, then you can go and work for contractors doing different things. And he had done that. And he had done that for about 20 years. So I think he was a little bit younger than me. And now he's saying, I want to get out of where I'm living and I want to move someplace into a rural setting, because where I am living, and I'll just put it this way, he's down by DC. It ain't good. The whole matrix is like a pressure cooker, and more and more they're being restricted on things, and his place of business was forcing them to put masks back on, and they're all getting wound up about the latest thing that's coming. I'm not sure what the latest one is now. I can't even remember. I don't know if it's the monkey flu or the Wu flu, or probably going to be the Spanish flu, or I don't know. But they had just said, enough is enough. We have to get out of here. And the sense of urgency from these people was quite different, because they are city people. And when the wife was telling me, when they moved into their HOA, they were sold on how good it is to live in an HOA. They have, guys that come take care of the lawn, and, it's a gated community, I guess, and this and that. But after they're there for a while, you're kind of locked into your job. You have a luxurious house, but you're locked into your job because you have to pay for this house. And the notion that somehow you're going to get on top of it and own it someday, you're never going to own it, because it's in a housing association. I mean, you're basically like paying rent there to live there. But anyway, they had kind of smelled the coffee and they want out. And at one point in the conversation, I said, if I do consulting with somebody, then to me, if they're paying me for the truth. I said, is that what you want? Do you want the truth? You don't have to pay me, but let's just make believe that you're paying me, and I'm going to give you the truth, because they told me where they wanted to live and the reason why they wanted to live there. And I told them, I I don't think that's the thing to do. I think you need to be further away and set up a lily pad for other people to come and stay, because you know the cities are not going to be good places if this thing goes south, and they're really not good places now. So if you're going to get out, now is the time. What impressed me about these guys was they had never lived in the country, but they wanted to, and she said several times it's really hard, and it kind of tied in with what we talked about last night. That I almost wanted to say, then why do it? Why don't you just stay where you're at? You know, but there's something burning inside of them that they're extremely urgent to get from where they are to someplace else. And I guess that's something that I don't really compute with. I do know this past weekend I went down to Grand Rapids. It's a population center, and when I was down there, I looked around, all I could see was the tops of houses as far as I looked. And then when there was a break in the noise at the place that I was at, all the people that were there, you could hear highways, you could hear cars and semis. And I didn't know we were that close to any major roads, but I guess we were. And just the noise of the city, it was just like a continuous din. And I've been down there at night, and it never really gets dark because there's so many artificial lights that you just see this, it's like it's gray sky that is never, like dark like our sky here. And so when I get down there, I stay calm so long as I know, okay, I've got this much time that I need to stay here. Let me do this, this, and this, and then I'm getting out of here. And I know exactly how I'm getting out. And I know that as soon as I break out of there at 8 o'clock at night, coming north, it's a 2-hour ride. You don't see anybody. You can be driving along and all of a sudden there's nobody in front of you, nobody behind you. Crank it up to 80 miles an hour and scoot. And then I know I'm out of there. And it's not anything that. So I guess I do understand a little bit about that feeling that you would have being in a situation like that. So I thought I would share that tonight because maybe a lot of the people that are on here now are already out and have already made their decision to be out of the city. But you have to realize, as I did today, I think we're going to need to realize that there are a lot of people behind us that will be coming behind us. Maybe. And what does that mean? Well, last night I said it. I said, if you're here, you're already in a place where you're going to have to be a light worker, right? I hear that term a little bit here now and then. And let's see, being a light worker. So what is that? All right. So if you've been here for a while and made the decision you want to live this kind of lifestyle, we've already established that our mission is not to just live this lifestyle, but is to teach other people to do it. I think. I mean, I don't have a manual or anything. I'm just kind of going by, I don't know, feeling by the seat of my pants. I think that's the thing to do. I think that, like, if we're going to live in reality world is, if my neighbor can feed himself, then maybe someday he can feed me too. That's reality world. Disney World is kind of like, oh no, I want to be the only one that creates food, and then I'll feed him and he'll pay me, and then I'll get this currency. And when we hold on to currency and we really look at it and we think, wait a minute, why is this currency worth anything? Oh, because people believe it's worth something. It's not backed by gold. I can't take $100 bill and say, yeah, let me have the $100 worth of gold. I can't. It's see, so I guess what's happening now is it's like the matrix and real world are kind of flickering with, like you're looking at money and saying, wait a minute, you get a fistful of $100 bills and you say, whoa, look at that. But now I kind of like, well, the old ones actually excite me more than the new ones. I had a few of them in my hand today and I was like, well, but then in reality, I don't want to keep it in this form for very long. I want to turn it into something of real value very quickly. And luckily, luckily I have the opportunity to do that now because I have a tractor that's being fixed, and I'm sure he's going to want me to pay him in dollars. Johnny Spears has my Jeep, and they're putting a new clutch in that, and he just dropped chickens off and gave me a favorable report on the Jeep. Yeah, we got the transmission out and everything. Cute little thing. Transmission's only about this long. And they got a new clutch for it, and they're going to be putting it back together tomorrow. So those of you that come on Tribe Day, I will have the Jeep, and I'm really thankful for that because I it's one of my favorite things that I have is the Jeep. And I don't consider it mine. I can kind of consider it the farm's, and hopefully it will always stay here, and hopefully the farm stays in my family, right? So anyway, so I've got some things that I can use those dollars that I got for pigs today on. That's good. Yeah. So what do you think about that? Let me read what is it what I'm saying here resonating with any of you? Andy's pretty good about sending me. Oh, this is the one I can't scroll on this. Bummer. Well, I'm on full screen now. Oh, that's a drag. I cannot back up on that. All right. So the only ones I can read here, I think, is going to be the newest ones. Okay. Okay. Well, okay. The ghost says, yeah, a lot of people have never seen the Milky Way. Yeah. Even in my small town, you won't see it until maybe 10 miles out. So much glare. How about that? Me and Joe were sitting out, and this, I can't read this one because our logo is in the way here. Oh, there you go. All right, Keith's with us. How you doing, Keith? Coming in a little late. My reality, my neighbors think I work too hard, but glad when I share with them. I think they hope I'll feed them if SHTF. Going to be hard enough to feed my growing clan. Yeah, I know what you're saying. My plan has always been, okay, when that happens, though, I think there'll be people that will come and say, okay, can you help us? And I'll say, yeah, but you'll have to help me first. That's the way I'll have to do it. My finger? No, Debbie, I can't use my finger. All right, Tim Milano. Hey, man. Kyle Miron sent me a text today, and he said, what did he say? I think it's your daughter. He said, that I met an amazing person today, the other day, my chiropractor. Oh, Kelly. So it's your wife. And that she's coming in July. And she thinks that the tribe is a cool thing. So that's what Kyle said. So you know Kyle now, or you're connected to Kyle. That's interesting. I interviewed Kyle about a year ago. He is the filmographer, and he's had some tough luck lately. Yeah, he's had some real tough luck. He lost his voice. He lost for about 3 months. So all I could do was text with him, and it wasn't like I was even talking to him. And then he finally called me, and okay, you're coming. Are you camping with us? Because you got to make reservations. Either that, or you have to get a hotel in town. So I doubt you'd drive down for the day, but you could definitely tent it. We've got tent sites for sure. We'll have the campground up and running. Actually, I have people coming next Thursday. Coming they'll be our very first beta test. So, yeah, the sense of urgency is coming up, and we have already been on this path for quite some time now. And I'm not sure how people want to handle that. For me, I think my sense of urgency is even higher than it was to just get a lot of stuff finished that I've started, which isn't always hard. Like today, for getting things done on this farm, I did a little bit of signage this morning before my first appointment showed up, and then after my second appointment left, I milked. That's it. And I was exhausted. I came in the house and got something to eat. About 3:30 in the afternoon, had something to eat, and then I went out and milked. And about that time, everybody got home, and I took a little nap. Really deep sleep. That can be a little exhausting when you are question after question after question, and you're just going to it, answering. So. All right, cool. All right, so I wonder if anybody has any input on that. If you're seeing if we could do, Southern Prepper. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to him. He's been around forever, but he's been doing this thing that makes a really big splash. He calls it boots on the ground. He's ex-Army, and he just has that military Army vernacular all the time. And he has people sending him renditions of what they're seeing in their communities, and it's startling when you listen to it. You want to say, "Oh no, everything's going to be fine," but you listen to that, and you're kind of like, "Wow, there seems to be some wicked stuff going on." So these are like people that work for trucking companies and food distribution companies and stuff, and they're saying some hellacious stuff about the food chain. I think people should listen to it. It's got me far more motivated than I was before. I kind of thought that the farmers will save the day. They may, but I don't think by any chance it's going to be a slam dunk. I just don't at this point. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. Okay. Oh, so Tim, Kyle too, huh? He's from the UP. I had a little bit to do, a little bit of say on that. I felt as though he should get himself back up there and get near the lake and get himself healed up, and he's done that, which I appreciate that he took that advice. Okay. I wish I could get that logo out of the way here. No, I cannot move it. So as soon as somebody else says something, I'll be able to read your latest post, Tim. And it's the funniest. I don't seem to have a way to be able to move it. And without my my sidekick here, I'm gonna have to just live with it. Okay, there it is. People are people are begging for a butcher in my area and see that we are going to be in trouble soon. Yeah, Tim Milano is a chiropractor from, I think, from the Detroit area, I believe, or down south here anyway. And I met him years ago up in the Upper Peninsula. He had taken his family and headed north, and then we met, and I did a telephone consulting, I believe. I haven't been to the property, and Tim is one of those guys that was able to discern that I was giving him a couple of options to make it in homesteading. And as I see it anyway, I don't know everything, but I do know that the processing end of it is huge. And up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, it's a massive land area. And I think you've only got two processors up there, one USDA plant, and Tim had made some plans to put together a plant in town in Marquette. And I believe that we talked about that, and it's not a good idea. And I said, you need to put it out at your farm where you can control it. And I think he's done that. He's done the put the concrete down and got the building up and stuff. So you're going to be a vital part. Yeah, Tim is still in the UP, Ben. You're going to be a vital part of the food chain. See what we're doing. Every time we talk about this stuff, and people are like, gee, I wonder what I should do. And, you might hear something here and then, oh, that's a good idea. And then execute it. We're putting, Babylon is about to fall, right? And if you look at, what I'm calling Babylon here in the United States, it has been built out of greed, right? It hasn't been built out of food security. It hasn't been built out of food safety, although they'll say that. It's been built out of greed. They've tried to centralize it so only those at the top make a super good living instead of everybody involved in the food system eat and make a living, right? It's always out of greed. They want to centralize it. They bring in cheap labor so they can get people to work for nothing, and they're easily controlled. And it's not working. It's falling apart right now. And they did it for specific reasons, and I don't think they have it put together quite as much as they would like to in order to be able to pull the plug on it and manipulate us around. But I do think that they've got enough of their infrastructure put together that it's going to cause some discomfort. And I think that's why Tim was able to see that, hey, if I provide a function of processing here for this area, well, not only can I make a good living, I'm going to be providing a service for this neighborhood, my neighbors, that they need if we're going to eat. And hopefully, like, I don't know if you were here last night, Tim, but I have this other friend that talks to me about things. And a long time ago, she said to me, I mean, a long time ago, this is really a long time ago, she said, you're a light worker. I said, a light worker? What do you mean? I've never been accused of that. A lot of things, but not that. And now I'm hearing more and more about light workers, like it's almost a thing. And I realized that, I've always said that this homesteading business that we're in is not a hobby. It's not like a gardening club or anything like that. We are talking about an essential set of skills and processes to the survival of humanity. And without those skills, then we are at the point of the sword of those that control that. And think about what happened to the American Indians. And I don't know if it's exactly the way they say, but the way the story goes, you had this group of people that lived here for a long time and were masters at survival. Nomadic in nature, a lot of them, great warriors, honorable people. And they were conquered and then pushed over onto unfertile land and then just given money. And it didn't do them any good, because we look at the Native American population right now, and they struggle in a lot of areas. I've actually been to several reservations, and it's tough. It's really tough, and that's kind of what they are doing now. You know, food is easy, it's plentiful. You don't know where it comes from. Kids in school don't know where it comes from. They are shifting people's attention from their own survival and how they should do it to, you know, coloring their hair blue and boys going in the girls' room, girls going in the boys' room. That's what's most important in the schools these days. I don't know about schools here. I just found out my neighbor actually is going to be the principal at the middle school here, and he's a solid guy. So I'm really glad to hear that. That's right up there with the Roe v. Wade thing getting thrown out. Which, wow, that's really stirring it up, isn't it? That's really stirring it up. Oh man. But I mean, again, we're getting to a place where we're either going to face reality, call it what it is, and move on, or we're just gonna sit back, and when you know, your kid says, "Look at me, I'm invisible," and you say, "Oh yeah, you are. Look at me, I'm a 65-year-old man in a dress, and I'm honorable." "Oh yeah, you are." "Oh, but for sure, not me, because I'm still using the men's room. Not me. I'm old school. I'm still standing up when I pee, but not you there, Bruce." If we go down that road, they're taking us into Disneyland that's not real, and we can't do that. We have to face reality here, face what's going on, and stand in the gap. And you know, one of the things that we don't talk about much, but I think about quite a bit, is, yeah, what happens? It was mentioned, SHTF, shit hits the fan. All right, let's come right out and say it. What happens when that happens? And you're a homesteader, and you're making sure your six is covered. You're making sure you've got it lined out for you. Do you become, well, with that situation, if you're well fed and secure, would that become an asset, or could that become a liability? Could you become a target for those that have been, you know, going to Disneyland? I think so, and we've all thought about that. So how do you do that? Do you say, well, I've got 5 other people living on my street, so I better pack up enough food for all of them, because they're going to come looking for it, and if I don't give it to them, they'll probably come with guns. That's a dark thing to think about, isn't it? And then, you know, if they come and you give them food, they're going to be back in a day or two, because you didn't give them. I mean, they're not going to find food anyplace else. So how do you deal with that? And I've thought about this quite a bit, because I am not able to injure somebody because they want to feed their children. I'm not able to do that. So what's the fix on that? How can we turn that situation into a good thing? All right, let's say I've got several people in this community that run short of food, and they know that we're a farm, and they come and say, "Can we get some food from you?" And I can say, "I can, but I need your help. I need your help first. All right, so I need to put you to work for a shift." "Oh, well, I can do that." If they say, "Well, I can't do that because my favorite show is on at 4 o'clock, so I can't help you. I just want you to give it to me." "Oh, and I'll say, "Well, I'm not going to do that. I mean, if you won't work, you're not going to eat, of course. So when you decide that eating is more important than your show, then come on over and I'll put you to work for a shift." And, you know, I think it'd be actually a good thing, because then as a community, we can work together. We can all do well, and maybe we can start to make gains and feed more people and more people and more people. I told you guys my thing has always been butchering, and the shortage that we have, like Tim just said, is processing. I mean, he's up in the UP, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Tim, but And Ben, you too, you could chime in here. How many processors are there in the UP right now? It's probably Rainbow. And I know Justin Stilkey left. He's down in Iowa right now running a greenhouse. So he's gone. So did somebody take his place there in Lance? Homestead Development. Wow, this is cool. That's a new guy. But I can't read you, man, until somebody else chimes in. Got to move it below the logo there, the Anyone Can Farm logo. I'm sorry, you guys, but it just does these things. So, they're right there. You can see the hot ticket. If you wanted to be in a situation where you're insulated, you've got a hedge against this whole thing, be the processor. And whether you start out being the rabbit processor or the chicken processor, be the processor. All right. Homestead Development. We just started our homestead channel. Right now, it's all dirt work on our 27 acres, but we are ready to start with everything else. If you're ever interested in helping us out, we'd love it. Well, contact me. Can you do that on Messenger? And are you around us? But you're in the right place. And if you're not around us, maybe you're near somebody else that could help. But sure, I'll help you. That's what I'm here for. Okay, Ben's saying, I think Rainbow is the only USDA, and there's one in Crystal Falls that I know of. Is the one in Crystal Falls a USDA? I doubt it. Not that it really matters, but it is kind of interesting to know if they would dedicate dollars up there into your area. I think they're trying to starve you out. Tim Milano says, not really any. One new one in Lance. Some small garage guys that aren't taking any new customers. Okay. You know what? I would look at what they're doing, Tim, as things have changed since we talked. I mean, things are really fluid now. And I think I started off, was it the Monday show or was it the Friday show? I don't know, because things are changing so much daily. I started out saying, all right, we're going to rebuild the basement of the barn for our adult classes. And then I was like, a few months later, we jackhammered out all the concrete. And I was like, we're just not going to have enough space in here. So then we said, okay, let's build a building. Let's dedicate some dollars to it and build a building, because our adult education has really taken off. I mean, it's skyrocketed, right? So I think we can get that paid for. It's good to have the building. It's good to have the facility. Investing the money that you make in other things that will pay you is smart. And then, because of the times that we're in, we were not too sure, like, if gasoline's $10, will our adult education continue this fall? Will it? Don't know. Or will people just will they get more of a sense of urgency? I don't know. I really don't know. I try to discern that, but I think $5 gas is one thing, but $10 gas? Okay. I don't know. So then we've changed from building to saying, well, we've operated all this time without a facility, our adult education. We just do it in the butcher shop and in the driveway and in the house for eating and stuff. We're getting by. It's working. Everybody's getting educated. So we can live without the building for another year. Maybe things will settle out. Maybe they'll get worse. Maybe be glad we didn't. So now we're back to the barn thing. And instead of building out the basement, we're going to put an overhang so we have more area under roof and put up a wind barrier on one side. So then we're in better shape than we were. But we're dedicating our dollars to things that will pay us back regardless of whether the adult education classes, go or not go, right? Because all of the moves that we make on this farm, we cannot afford. Nobody can really afford to. Well, let's just build a building over here and have it sit empty. I mean, everything that we dedicate dollars to, it has to pay us back. You know, I can't. I don't know as I'll ever get to the place where I can say, well, I'm going to just buy this, 1970 Chevelle SS because I want it. It's not going to pay me back. So that would be really inconsistent with this farm. I mean, I'm kind of pushing it with a Jeep because I say, well, you got to have something like a Jeep to ride around. But, the man van does just as well and probably better than the Jeep. But that's one of my little things. I'm going to have to keep the Jeep. Okay. Ben's saying they might be USDA in Crystal Falls. Summer's processing. Last I heard, they were scheduling 8 to 10 months out. Yeah, well, I think, Tim, that I know that's Ben that said that, but Tim is in on this conversation. And Tim, just a little side consulting here. I mean, I don't want to tell you what to do on here, but I think a lot of people are listening, and Tim, is a business guy, and he's like, okay, we're going to build a shop. And if you look at other shops, they're doing 10 beef a week. So they got to have a big cooler, a lot of HVAC, you're burning a lot of electricity. Once you dedicate all that money to heating and cooling, that's HVAC, by the way, and a big cooler, big freezer, big facility. Once you dedicate that money, you're in there, right? Summer, fall, and winter, and spring, you are in there because you've got a lot to pay back. But I think there's a lot of wisdom in, okay, we got a garage, so let's make some mods to the garage so it's barely within limits and go for it. And then, wow, we made, $1,000 this week butchering. Hey, great. We can set that aside or set some of it aside for building materials. And then we'll build out this addition on here or whatever and make it better, keep fortifying the position to the point where, hey, you can do 10 beef a week. 10 beef a week is a lot. It really is a lot for a new person at this. So I would. Oh, Andy, no, I'm not a Corvette guy. Not really. I've never owned a Corvette. Never have. Driven them a couple of times. But no, I am a Chevelle guy for sure. Yep. I like the 1970 Chevelle. I had a 66 and a 67 when I was a kid and when I was 18. And I'm surprised that they let us do that, a 17-year-old kid with that many ponies at my disposal. And the drinking age was 18 back then. Whoa, what a recipe for disaster. But kids were dying all the time back then. I had a couple of close calls, but wow. I'm glad my kids don't have muscle cars. But I would like to have one again someday. All right, looks like Ben's onto something here. But no, I'm a Chevelle guy. All right. Milling lumber right now for Butcher Shop Edition off the garage. Wow. All right, so we've got two of you in the UP doing it. That's Ben and Tim. Awesome. You're going to have people flocking to you to get their animals processed. And you know what else that will do? If a person lives up there in the UP and the reason they are not they're not making beef, they're not creating beef, they're not facilitating beef, is because they have to put everything in a trailer, bring it across the bridge down into or bring it over into Wisconsin to have it processed. And man, what a hassle that is, right? That's a real hassle. So what if the both of you guys got good at being instructors and you built facilities, got yourself trained up to the point where you could train other people. And then when people come and they see your facility, they get inspired and they say, I can do this. I can build a facility like this. Man, Ben, you're in the construction business. You could be facilitating that. You could be building people out. You could be doing that. And all your own lumber. Wow. Put together a crew going out and logging. Man, oh man. It's ripe right now. The fields are ripe for harvest, in my opinion. I mean, we've got Parker here that's willing to supply us with all the lumber that we want. And that was the thing that was holding us up from doing any of these projects was go to the lumber yard. We can't afford that. There's no way we can do that. Go to Parker. He's sawing it out for us, getting a decent price for the wood that he's sawing out. And we can build, so everybody else is kind of like holding back and we're pressing ahead. So, okay, Tim, I'm getting a lot of help getting this up. I'm milling my timbers and collecting materials from some of my construction jobs. We will get there, have customers already wanting cows done. See, there's not many businesses that before you have the walls put up, you've got people knocking on your door. There really isn't. And, I could see a person, like I spent time with Tim a couple of times. All right. We did a class together up at Shady Grove. And then Tim and his son came down here and spent 2 days with us, kind of a consulting thing, but just hanging out together. We had campfires and stuff. And Tim's a normal, I don't want to say run of the mill type guy, but I could see where you might say, whoa, this is a lot. Because I'll be brutally honest with you. Every time that the gun goes bang and I see a cow hit the ground, part of me says, oh, what have I done? You know what comes now? You know how much, that's easy. Bang, that's easy. But do you know what happens after that? Yeah, it's, but then you do it again and again and again, and you know what's coming. And then it's kind of like, well, it's just 1 foot after the other. It's just one step at a time. You get better saws, you get better facilities together, you get a higher rail, you get all that together. And then it's just, well, I was going to be working 8 hours today anyway. So now I'm just working 8 hours doing this. So, but I got to say, good on you for pressing ahead with this in the face of, I mean, it's not everybody that wants to do it. I don't know how to put that gently. I don't want to say, well, because you're such a wuss. That's not what I mean. It's just, it's such a big thing to do that I think a lot of men say, ooh, no, not for me. I don't, I'll trailer my animals to south of the bridge all day long before I'll do them myself. And so good on you. I'm proud of you for doing that. I think you're way ahead of the game because, as I've said many times before, the difference between a successful homesteader and an unsuccessful homesteader is the successful guy is willing to do what the unsuccessful guy is not. Like when the unsuccessful guy says, well, I'm not doing that, it's an opportunity for the guy that wants to be a success. Because especially with butchering, there's a lot of I don't know, mystery around it, let me tell you how I got into butchering animals. I was in Montana and I started raising pigs, and then they got big. And for starters, it seemed like fun just to raise pigs. But then I got to the point where, well, they were going to have to go to a processor to be butchered. And then you you mean these things are just not going to jump in the back of my pickup truck? Oh, I thought they would. No, they won't. You got to force them into a trailer, and that can be a rodeo. That can be a rodeo that sometimes I was not able to do at first. There was a couple times when I couldn't do it, and then the guy that was doing the butchering for me, his name's Dan Isaacson. He's out in Shoto, Montana. We got to be friends, and he was just one of these brutally honest guys. He'd look you right in the eye and ask you a question, and you'd be like, "Well, I didn't realize I had no clothes on." You know, he was a civilian, and he was really far away from the base, and I think that he thought that we were all tough guys, you know, and he said to me one time, oh, I hired him to come out to my place and get beef. He would come out, shoot a beef, load it on his truck. Hey, right on, Tim. Yeah, you guys should. You should join up forces for sure. But one time I wanted to show him something. I had shot a deer and I had it hanging up in this little building that I had, and somebody had shot it in the rear end, and I wanted to see what he thought of it. You know, could I utilize that meat? And he came and looked at it. And he dug his finger in there, big old, and he comes out with this big slug, and he says, "Whoa, that's from last year." But anyway, he says to me, "How come you ain't butchering your own pigs?" Okay, wait a minute. I better catch up here. Shaw Lake is saying, I have to learn to butcher. The closest butcher is about 2.5 hours away. My father's friend I knows how to butcher. So I'll be learning soon to butcher rabbits, then pigs this winter. Too bad you aren't closer, Nance. I think that we could help you out with that. I think it's probably still tough to travel over the border, but good on you. Whatever it takes, get yourself trained up. But anyway, he says, "How come you ain't butchering your own pigs?" And I was like, "I don't know. Should I be?" And he says, "Well, yeah, look at this building you got here. You could do this and this and this." He says, "Next time you bring up a pig, I'll show you. You'll help me with it, and I'll show you how to do it." Okay. And I had a full-time job. I was working for the Air Force, and I wound up getting a saw, you know, a 110 volt Hobart meat saw, and you know, I outfitted that little building, make a butcher shop out of it, and we did really well with it. I actually had a smoking cabinet in it, and it was pretty darn nice. And he showed me, he gave me a bunch of stuff, tables and stuff to use in the butcher shop. So worked out really good. So I knew when I got here, I was going to recreate that here, because I started to understand what I saw in Montana of farming was you had guys that feedlotted lots of beef cows, and they'd get them to 1,000 pounds and they'd sell them. And then you had guys that raised lots of feed, hay and haylage and stuff like that, and they would sell it to the guys that were doing the feedlotting. But I didn't know anybody that had a feedlot and raised their own feed. I didn't know anybody like that. And I certainly didn't know anybody that raised their own feed, feedlotted their own cattle, and then owned a butcher shop. I knew nobody like that. And I said, "How come?" And Dan Isaacson was a guy that would give me the straight poop. And he says, "People just don't think like that. They just don't think like that." He says, "But if you did that, you could clean up, because you could raise less animals and get more per head than you would if you turn it over to a butcher and then somebody else to market it, right? When you turn your product over to a store, then you have to sell it to them at wholesale, and then they're going to retail it out. So you're losing a lot of money. There's a lot of money that you could be making. And if, you know, some people will say, "Well, I don't like raising feed. I just like feedlotting, so it's easier for me to buy the feed." Okay. But I mean, there you go again. The difference between a successful and an unsuccessful is, are you willing to do what you don't want to do? right? And I wasn't always, and there's still probably a couple things that I don't do. All right, Andy, we're going to set up a garage butcher shop, mostly for us, but set to do for others if need be. You need to know with the way things are changing. Yeah, boy, could you be in the driver's seat if you were the guy in your neighborhood that could butcher? You would be it. You really, you know, it's a service that um, is always needed, right? And nobody wants to do. All right. Now there's things that go with processing that are like secondary things that you should be aware of, and I think that's where the classes come in. The Anyone Can Farm classes come in, because as we're going through that with students, we can say, oh, hey, you never want to do this, because if you do this and something goes wrong, you're going to have a problem here. Oh, okay, well, I'll stay away from it. And if you can avoid those pitfalls that people fall into when they're processing, and the things that get me the most, that I'm most concerned with, is if somebody sticks a knife in themselves or makes a deep cut. If we were in the SHTF scenario, all right, well, what are you going to do now? The knife thing, some of the cuts we make, you're pulling towards yourself, and we're riding on a butcher's, what do you call it? A cutting board. we're riding on a cutting board, and then you get to the end of the cut, and a lot of times the student doesn't realize that they're through what they were cutting, and they keep pulling, and they're pulling the knife towards themselves, and it's aimed right at your leg, right in your pelvis area, and there's femoral arteries in there that are really nasty if you stick them. So we point that out right off the bat. Hey, you don't want to do this. You do not want to stick yourself here. But if you do, don't pull it out. Let us cut away and then pack it. We'll know from the way that it's bleeding if you hit that artery. And if you did, we're going to pack it, and then we're going to put you in a truck and get you to the hospital where somebody that's good at that stuff can get it put back together before you bleed out. Because you can bleed out in like just a few minutes, and that's not good. So we don't want to have that happen at our classes. So that's one of the first things I go over is safety with that. All right. And then usually it comes up that people are concerned about setting up a butcher shop. Do they need to check with anybody? Is it legal? Is it all that stuff? And it's absolutely legal. If you set up just a processing area, whatever you do, don't ask anybody to do it, because somebody will figure out a reason why you shouldn't. But just keep it low key and do what you got to do. Okay, Andy, big advantage is hog feed, dog feed, chicken feed, no waste. Yeah, our butcher shop, I say this all the time, but I know we've got new people tonight. A butcher shop on the homestead where you have other animals going. Like we have hogs here, we have beef cows, we have milk cows, we have laying hens, we have broilers. We have a lot of broilers. So we do a lot of chickens in the summertime. And we not only do our own chickens, but we do chickens for other people, like we'll be doing tomorrow. There's like 150 of them down there. So generally people do not want heads and feet and guts. They're like, nope, don't want that. That's just the American way of doing it. No, we don't eat that. And so that stays here, and they don't care what happens to it. But then it becomes a legitimate protein source for my pigs. So once a week, my pigs are getting, or twice a week, like this week, it'll be twice. They're getting a good shot of protein, and it just goes out on the ground and they slurp it up. It's legit, it. And once they've disposed of it, once they've eaten it, it's gone. There's no fly problems or anything because it's gone. And then when they poop it back out, it's becoming a part of the ecosystem on the field, which is growing feed for them as well. And the whole thing, like, we're adding to this ecosystem all the time. We're adding material, not just carbon material, but fats and proteins. And if we didn't have the pigs, then we would probably be composting it. And I think that that's probably the next best thing you can do with chicken guts. But like heads and feet can go to your dogs, and the livers and the hearts can go to your dogs. My dogs aren't just dogs just to be fun to have dogs. They're not just, except for one of them, the poodle. They're guardian livestock dogs, livestock guardian dogs. So we absolutely need them here, because if we didn't have them, all of the chickens that we have out in chicken tractors would be vulnerable to all kinds of skunks and coons and coyotes and foxes and you name it, possums, all kinds of predation out there. Never mind nighthawks and owls. But with the livestock guardian dog, we don't struggle with any of that, right? But they're big dogs and they need to be fed. So, we put together bags of chicken feed for them that get frozen. And so then in the wintertime, when they need feed, we'll just take a bag of feed out and put it out there, and then they can kind of fight over that and bury chicken feet all over the place, which they do, but that's okay. And the same thing goes for our boars. When our boar pigs are too big and they're not interested in breeding anymore, or we're just bringing a younger boar on, at this time, we don't castrate our boars. I know that people say that you can do that, and you can physically, you can castrate a big boar pig, but do you want to? I mean, I don't look forward to a task like that at all. And the reason you would do that is so then you could use the boar for human consumption. And so either way, that boar is going to be processed. So either way, he's going to get shot and bled and gutted and all that stuff. So I don't want to do that castration process on him, because it's so horrendous, to do that to a grown pig. I don't want to do it. So we just process them for the dogs, and the dogs got to eat too. So that pig is not going to waste in any way. Yeah, Andy said my pigs ate a whole sheep head. Yeah. Yeah, your dogs, you will find, like my Great Pyrenees, they're notorious droolers. If you're feeding them like dog food that's high in ash, they will drool really bad. But once they're on, a whole food like chicken feed, chicken heads, they don't drool hardly at all. And it keeps their coats really nice and clean. Their eyes sparkle, very healthy dogs. So that's kind of the way the homestead should go. Each of your processes, if there is a cast off from a process, it shouldn't be, okay, it goes in the trash can and goes out. You don't really want that. You want each cast off from a process to be used in another process and another process and another process. That way you're getting all the energy out of it as you possibly can. And at the end is the composting process. But even there, we're still feeding microorganisms. And once they break down all that organic material and all the manure and all the bedding and all that stuff, they break that down. That goes back out on the field, feeds the grasses that we cut for hay, that feeds the cows again. So it's like this big big cycle. And if there isn't a break in the cycle, there's an increase that happens every cycle. And that is counter to what you are told about farming. You're told, well, if you take a bunch of hay off this field, you better put some fertilizer on that field. Well, no, I don't need to do that if I have compost. Well, where are you going to get compost if you don't have cows? So you kind of need all the different processes happening in order to make this the full circle. I hope that makes sense. I know what I mean. I don't know if I'm getting to the end of the show. I'm a little tired. All right, David Wallman. It's great to meet you today. Do you offer your male GWP for stud? No. I don't know. We never have. I don't think so. I know he's young. Well, no, I'll just put it this way. These dogs never leave this farm. Like, this is their world. They don't know that my neighbors exist. They don't know what's across the road, and they don't need to know, right? They're dogs. And so if I were to pack him up and take him to the vet, he's like, he doesn't know what's happening. And he doesn't look forward to it like, oh, this will be fun. He does not like it. He had to go to the vet one time, and when he got home, he just sat right next to my wife. He was like, don't do that to me again. So to take him to a different farm and then have him stud a female, I don't know. I just I feel like I lose control of them. I don't know. And then the other way would, generally the way that's done anyway, is you bring your female to the farm when she's cycling in. But I don't know how my other females would. They would not like that. It would upset the apple cart too much. I don't know. Not me, man. I don't think I'm gonna bite on that one. We've entertained it before, but never have followed through on it because it's just a big thing to do. So, but yeah, it was good talking. All right, I'm gonna get going. So tomorrow's Wednesday, so we will see you guys on Thursday. I'm going to try and swing something for Thursday. Try to swing an interview. I really wanted to do one today. Oh, Nancy's asking, out of curiosity, do you butcher pigs a certain time of the year? Yeah, absolutely. We butcher in the fall. Pigs are in the fall. You want to wait until the flies are gone, and you need, like 30-degree nights so you can cool the carcass down. You kill one day, and if you were to be cutting up that carcass the same day, it's like trying to cut up a seal because it's so warm and just slippery. But if you let it set up overnight at 30 degrees or even a little bit less, you'll have a nice stiff carcass the next day, and you'll have something that you can work with. So that's how we do it. But we always wait till the fall. The only time I do anything in the summer, like I'm going to have to do one next week for Tribe Day, but it'll be a smaller one. I'll go out there, zap the pig, bring it in, goes right in the scalding water, gets scraped, and then we'll carry it into the shop where it's cool, and then we'll do the evisceration, get rid of the guts, and split that guy in half and put him in our own cooler with it cranking just to get him cooled down. And he will only be in there for 2 days before he goes right on the barbecue. And when we barbecue him down the day before, strip a lot of the meat off. Oh, it's 2 halves. We got 2 halves on a pretty good sized pig. So we'll do one We'll strip all that meat down. We'll put it in those, tin foil pans. And then one of them gets barbecue sauce, one of them doesn't. And then the day of the event, I get up real early in the morning, get the barbecue going, have the pig on there. And then it makes the whole farm smell good, like roasting pig. So it's sort of an event type thing. Got to have a pig roast, right? All right, you guys, I'm going to get going. All right. Thanks for everybody coming by. Good group tonight, actually. Give us a thumbs up if you would, and like and share if you'll share us with your friends. And we will see you Thursday night, hopefully. Good night now. Anyone can fire.